everybody, and welcome to MangaPod. We are a weekly podcast in which we all get together after we read all or part of a manga, and then we discuss it with friendship, love, and lots of spoilers. This week we're discussing Claymore, volume 6 through 10, chapters 28 through 57. Finally! 3 years, and we are finally doing Claymore again.
So long.
Been so long.
I've read this section so
many
times.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is the most repeated section of a manga that we've read for MangaPod. Yeah. Just because we had so many scheduling issues and things would come up and happen that we'd have to cancel. But I was like, you know what? Birthday pod, we are reading Claymore. It's happening. I'm doing it. It's my birthday miracle, you guys. I'm Erin of HappiLeeErin, your host, and with me is one of my lovely co-hosts. Lou could not make it because he is in Florida and thus going through all the damage from the hurricane. He is safe. His internet is just super spotty. So he did give Claymore an 8 out of 10. So he's here giving us everything. But he's not actually here. Everything.
Everything he can give.
Everything. And then we also have a lovely guest. So let's go ahead and have you two introduce yourselves, please.
Hi guys, I'm Dodger, and I love this section of Claymore. I'm so excited. Like the fact that I had to read it or skim it so many times, and I'm still just like, God, this section's so good. Yeah. It's gonna be good stuff. Yeah.
And I'm ErikaSzabo from ErikaSzabo on YouTube. It's so creative, isn't it? Yeah, I'm on a little bit of a break on YouTube, but I'm on Twitch and Instagram pretty heavily now. So good stuff. Thanks for having me again.
Of course. Thank you so much for being patient as we tried to figure out how to get this scheduled and all of that. So we're very happy, so happy that you can join us for it. I'm glad we were able to make it.
I'm so happy I can return to this next part. Totally, yeah.
Dude, yes. If you've never joined us for a MangaPod before, what we like to do is give you a short spoiler-free description of the manga that we read, as well as a summary. Wait, no. The description is the summary, guys.
Yep.
As well as spoiler-free recommendations, whether we think you should spend time going to read this manga or not. That way, if it sounds like something interesting and you don't want to be spoiled for it, you can take your leave once we get to spoiler section and go read it. And then come back and watch the VOD of this on youtube.com/HappiLeeErin, where all the previous MangaPods are hosted. Sorry, I got distracted because somebody in chat said, is Dodger a guest? And now I'm like, did I call you a guest? And so I'm trying.
I sure am.
Did I? I'm so sorry.
Sure did.
I'm so sorry. Dodger's a weekly guest.
Yeah. I'm a guest that never fucking leaves.
Which makes me happy. You're my soul guest.
My soul train.
My soul guest.
That's so sweet.
Then I also had a flashback to the one time where I accidentally switched two of the hosts' pictures. So I was like, oh no, did I do that again? A lot of horrible memories just came back to me.
Sometimes they wind up being great though, because then you're like, remember when that happened? That was silly.
That was silly. Sometimes, yes. We ask that nobody post any sort of spoilers in chat until we get to spoiler section. And then once we get to spoiler section, please don't post any spoilers for anything past what we read of the manga. We're very harsh on spoilers. We don't like people doing it. We call them rotten bacon butts, and it's a really gross name, so you don't want to be it. We ban, timeout, all of that stuff. Our mods don't necessarily know if you're posting joke spoilers, so just don't do it. It's easy peasy. Eat lemon squeezy. Yeah, so let's go ahead and have Erika read our description, please.
Okay. That's just the synopsis here, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. In a world constantly haunted by demonic predators known as Yoma, the everyday life of humans is full of fear and suspicion, as these monsters easily blend into human society to hunt their hapless prey. However, in this world, there is also a mysterious organization employing half-human, half-Yoma warriors to effectively track down and kill the demons. Called Silver-Eyed Witches or Claymore, after the huge Claymore swords they carry, these female warriors are eyed with suspicion and distrust by most because of their inhuman powers. But there are many currents flowing in the shadows, from the mysterious machinations of the Claymore organization and the twisted ambitions of the powerful Abyssal ones, to the hopes and desires of each Claymore warrior. The story follows the fate of Claire, one of the Claymore operatives, as she sails deeper and deeper down the currents of conspiracies and revenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's awesome. All right, should we do our spoiler-free recommendations? Which of our guests would like to go first?
Oh no, Dodger, which one's it gonna be?
I could go for it. Yeah. I definitely recommend Claymore. I watched the anime when I was in college, and I've only read the manga since we started reading it on MangaPod. But like, again, we've read this section a couple of times now because we've had to reschedule, and it's so like the story up till this point is so good, and it's so intriguing, and I feel so invested. I absolutely recommend it. I think if you enjoyed the anime, you'll get way more out of the manga. Like, there's just so much going on. It's great.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, I know a lot of people give the anime a lot of flack. I don't think it's that bad. I just don't think that they were given enough time to be able to really flesh itself out as they do in the manga. The manga is just really great, especially if you're looking for something more like dark fantasy. It does have, I guess, some typical little aspects to it, especially in regards to fights. But I think that that can be a little bit annoying, maybe, because they keep coming back and recurring. But I think that there's just enough interesting story arcs in it that really keeps it afloat. I'm really surprised at this point. What is this, like volume 10, 11 at this point? Yeah. 10, yeah, like I'm really happy that it's still like really holding its own. And I think it's really interesting. Like I want to learn more about all these characters, even if you just have like little glimpses of them. So yeah, I definitely recommend.
Yeah. I also recommend it. It's just very fascinating. It's so fun, and it's so cool to see all these different characters, and also the monster designs are awesome. So I recommend it. I do think that sometimes the fights can get kind of repetitive, especially when you're reading it and you've reread it, or reading extensive chapters of it, kind of like how we do. There's times where the fights can get a little repetitive, both in terms of art and action and how they play out, but it's really interesting what the fights mean to the characters, so that kind of makes up for it. And there are times where the art can be, the character designs are very similar, because you have a lot of white-haired ladies wearing very similar outfits. So there's times where the characters can kind of get a little confusing, but the art is so pretty overall. Yeah. Like I said, the monsters are just crazy. But I agree, it's a dark fantasy. If you like shonen too, there's some aspects from there that could go apply to this. So I think it's one that if you like any sort of action, you should definitely check out. So we all recommend it. Recommend go checking it out. So now we're going to do spoiler section. This way, if you guys don't want to be spoiled, now's the time to take your leave. Come back and read it. Watch it on the channel, the MangaPod channel, which is basically my YouTube channel nowadays. Wow. So. All right, countdown.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Meet a god. All the Claymores are god. They're all gods.
I'm into it.
I love seeing how each of them awaken and what their forms look like.
Yeah, they all look so cool.
It's really cool, isn't it? I don't know who my favorite one is. I do really like Jean's. I thought hers was really cool.
Yeah.
But it's just it's so neat. I love it. And I like how they are, like exploring the idea of pushing your limits and coming back from an awakening. Oh my God. Yeah. It's so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. It's sad at the same time, because you're like, oh man, how many Claymore were like killed when they didn't need to be? Like they could have come back, but everybody's so convinced that there's no coming back, and it's like,
yeah.
the world,
it's definitely like a really sad fate for sure.
Yeah.
And like the world and the society that's kind of been built with it is very interesting and fascinating because of reasons like you guys are saying. Like, and I like that we're getting to the meat of that very quickly. Like we've had some buildup, but I remember when I was reading the first several chapters, I was like, I just don't know where the story is going to go. Like what's going to really happen or where they can go from here. And so the fact that they're bringing in what it means to become an awakened, but being able to go back is a very interesting story element for them to bring up.
Yeah, and how that changes you. And yeah, it's cool.
At the same time, though, I am kind of curious because there is still quite a bit to go in this series. Like, how many volumes are there total?
There's like 100
know.
and something chapters.
Oh
right?
my god. Oh
There's
yeah, 159. There's 27 volumes. That's nuts. So like, I do still wonder. You know, it's like, sure, it's really cool where it is, but like, where is it going to take us? Like, clearly, it's like discovering more potential within the characters, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of like really, really, really cool stuff that you'll see later. But I want to know like, what is like the main. What is the main thing that's going to drive everyone forward? I mean, maybe it's the organization, considering how mysterious they are, right? Maybe to find out a little bit more. But yeah, I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Constantly asking myself some questions
Yeah.
while I'm reading it, you know?
I'm hoping that we're at a phase that for a while lasts where they don't do the whole, she's the strongest, she's single digit, she can't be beaten, and then she dies like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like that's just in general. Like I'm not talking about one specific, but it happens numerous times where they're like, they're so powerful, they can't possibly win, and then they're beaten to like the brink of death or they're killed or something. And so I'm happy.
Yeah, and simultaneously them every single fight being like Claire will get up to do something and whatever they're fighting is like, you have no Yoma power.
Yeah.
You're a weakling.
You're
You'll never
47.
fight." Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
she
she's
always does something super cool. And I'm like,
Oh,
I like that she always does something super cool, but
super shonen protagonist. Like that's what I got so
Very.
much vibe from her. Not that I don't love her, but it was definitely so same after the same. So it was really fun, not fun, nice, which might not be the right word either, to see her get like her arm chopped off and then it dying, like her arm getting completely destroyed.
Yeah.
That was so good to see because it gave her a like something else that she had to work, and she wasn't just perfect in every single battle anymore. Like she had something that she needed to figure out, and like she still stumbles at time, though we are slowly getting back to like Claire is the strongest of them all secretly. I'm like, no, guys, stop it.
Yeah. But I do feel like because all of the different ranks are starting to, I don't know how to put this, because like higher ranking and lower ranking Claymore are starting to get involved in the same like shit shows. It feels like the meaning of those ranks are breaking down, at least amongst the Claymore. Like they're realizing that it doesn't really mean much, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's probably why they put them all together in this last fight here.
Yeah.
And also showing like casualties from so many different ranks. Like I was like thinking about how many characters just seemed so expendable, even though we had just gotten to know them, like Flora, Undine, Jean, and then Veronica as well. I mean, we didn't really get to know Veronica, unfortunately, but we got to know the other three. And it's just crazy. And sometimes I think it's a little bit weird with the like how it tries to like create attachment between characters, and somehow you feel sorry for them even though they didn't really have a whole lot of time together to begin with. And it's like, wow, that's pretty cool that you're making me like actually care even though it hasn't been a lot of time. But maybe it's because, you know, everybody's in danger, I guess, except for Claire, I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Claire can't die. Everybody else could die.
Claire's got hella plot armor.
Something's gonna happen. Yeah, I know.
I really don't want Jean to die, though.
No. Yeah,
I was really upset about that. I wanted to see more of her.
We ended on a crazy chapter with a lot, like, kind of cliffhangery, where we're like, so who died? Like, who's actually dead now? Because the it was like the silver-eyed fox or whatever, silver-eyed lion, man. The names are just There's some names where I'm like,
good. They're really
okay.
good names.
Like Muscular Maria or something like that. Where I was like, what?
Yeah, I thought it was also kind of weird how he was like a Yoma lion. Like they're starting to like, you know, look like other animals and not just Yomas.
Yeah.
I just find that kind of interesting, and there's almost this fusion thing going on.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember, did they establish that like that's something they've always done, or that it was like a new thing?
I remember this section really well. I don't remember the first thing that we read. The first section.
Oh, that was so long ago. Yeah. I don't remember.
Yeah,
anymore.
I can't remember at all. But it's still like neat to see that world expanding while at the same time the Claymore world is expanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But also like you know how like what's his name? Reiki? Is that how you pronounce his name? I was just calling him Reiki. Reiki. I'll do Reiki.
Yeah, I think Reiki works.
But when he split ways and then he ended up befriending Priscilla and Isley, and we hear about them through Claire's side, and it's just like that was pretty unsettling. Seeing that, it just really makes me wonder like what's going to happen from here. Like Reiki's definitely going to become a better fighter, which is cool. That's good. But I really don't want him to fit into that dominant role that he so wants to be. I really like how the depiction of men, for the most part, is that they're so much weaker. And I think that's actually really funny. And I really enjoy that in a way, because I'm like, yeah, let's do this. You know? Let's just to see things on the other side. But also to have like these really like tense periods where we care about these characters and their relationship, and then you see like one of them with the enemy or something like that's so scary. I'm just like, what's even gonna happen? It's like they seem like so like normal people, but they're not.
I'm so scared that Endgame is Rocky versus Claire. I'm so scared that Rocky's gonna become like the ultimate Yoma, and then Claire's like the ultimate Claymore. Oh my
God, that would be such a twist.
What if that happened? Because he's with Isley.
I feel like that could happen. That sounds, you know, without knowing.
I liked it when they kissed. I was like, oh, you're so sweet. You guys are so cute. Stay together. Okay, don't stay together, but at least come back together. And then I saw him with Isley, and I was like, no!
How old is Reiki supposed to be even?
Like 14?
I know. That was always kind of a weird thing to me,
Oh, that's true. He is a lot
That
younger,
little kiss on the
like,
mouth
he
was like,
seems
whoa.
like a babby boy, but I don't know how old he's supposed to be.
Let's see.
We just know that he is like full on in love with Claire.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh man, I don't want to get spoiled. I'm just trying to find his name. Or his age.
You like look him up and it just shows a picture of him fucking swole. Like, oh no! No! He grew up! No!
It's so hard to look stuff up, honestly. I can't. The internet's not safe.
It's not. So I was happy we got to see him again, but I was at the same time very... How much time passed? Like the passing of time in this manga is very unclear. At least to me, there's no like distinctive, oh, a few weeks have passed. It's always just like the next scene is they've been training for a little bit, and the next scene is she's leaving. So it's very difficult to understand. And it's the seasons aren't really defined as to what part of the country they're in. So when they're in a snowy country, it's hard to tell if they've been there for an extended period of time or if they've just been there overnight or anything like that. And so when Rocky came back in, he looked a lot older to me personally, but the Claymores don't age either. So that doesn't help at all. Like they have looked the same from the first time we meet them until the next time that we meet them, except for one time where Claire was pretending to be a man and had her hair pulled up. Like that's the only time she looked any different. And so it's very difficult to tell, but it looked like Rocky was a little bit older near the end of what we read. So I don't know. How old?
Yeah, just throw it out the window.
I assume months, like quite a few months, but I don't know if a year would be accurate. Like, I don't know.
It's very, and I don't know if it's like unimportant to the story, which it totally might be. Like, it might be that like we get the timing and scenes changing when we need to have them because, like I said, the Claymores don't really age. And so maybe the passage of time is unnecessary because they're the main focus. And then we see like Rocky looks older. It's like, oh, a year or two has passed.
Oh, I guess time has gone by.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you for letting us know.
What did you guys think about, I'm trying to remember her name, the braid girl who becomes Awakened? Ophelia, was that her name?
Ophelia, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
How did you guys feel about that scene?
She's the one who like sees herself in the water, right?
Oh my god, that scene!
I love that scene.
Yeah, it's a really cool scene.
That scene, it's so cool. It's so heart-wrenching, and it's also just so beautiful. The drawing of it itself is just gorgeous.
Like the fact, because I don't, at least for me as a reader, when I first read that section, I didn't realize that she didn't know she was awakened. And it wasn't until she like saw herself and was like, wait, that's not me. That's not who I am, right? I'm not awakened, that I was like, oh, fuck. Like she was so consumed by these weird pulls that she wasn't even realizing they were odd. You know, it was just so fascinating, that whole thing.
Yeah, and like oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, she's just so stuck in the idea of who she is as a person. Even the way that she treats Claire and almost like teaches her these really sadistic lessons that it's like she needs to learn these lessons. And it almost seems like, well, wait, like, do you really, like, what do you want out of this? But I felt like it seemed very much like she had some, like, even if just like itty bitty good intention in what she was doing. So I really felt bad for her when the reflection scene happened. But I remember the first time I read it, I didn't understand that she didn't realize it. And then it's really nice sometimes rereading manga because it helps you see things that maybe you might have missed the first time. So I grew to like her after a while as a character, just because everybody has very, like, they have these certain tics to them. They have very particular sort of personalities and what makes them who they are. So I think it's like really interesting seeing like how a character will open up and become what they are, right?
And like I said, the first 6 or like 5 volumes of this are such a like cloud in my mind of nothingness. So I could be completely wrong. Chat, totally correct me if I'm wrong on this. But I feel like she is the first one that we see from perspective of her personally awakening, whereas everyone else, when we see them awakening, they're just getting all veiny and turning evil and screaming, and then suddenly they're back. Whereas her, we see her thinking about her brother and then not realizing that she's awakened, and then she sees herself and understands that she's like realizes she's awakened. So it's like she's the first one that we've journeyed along with from initially turning awakened until she dies. And so it's like a much more personal first person point of view with her, which I think makes me like love her character and her little arc that we see so much, because it's like it's one of the first times where we're like, oh, okay, they still have like a soul and an essence, and like they're still living people like in there.
Totally, for sure.
I thought it was weird though with Priscilla when she transformed, and it was kind of like the first viewing of like an awakening, or at least like, you know, having a Claymore awaken in such a way. She just didn't really seem like she cared. Like even though she definitely had this moment where parts of her humanity were leaking out, I still felt like even just the way she looks with her like half open smug eyes, she just like, it's like she doesn't give a shit. And it's like, what? But like I really wanted to get to know who you were, but I guess we're not, because I mean even Awakened, they have personalities, right? So maybe we just haven't seen enough. I don't know.
I sort of figured that with her it was like a drunk on power sort of thing, that like the reason that she didn't care was because she was just drowning in the amount of power that she had and how good that felt.
You're right.
So the Ophelia led to Claire. She's the one who chopped off Claire's arm and also completely chopped it off, dissolved it. And so Claire wasn't able to regenerate it, which is also something that's very interesting about how they can either, some are better at regenerating, some can, like some types cannot, but they can reattach their limbs and how fast it takes.
That felt very shonen to me.
It was so shonen. It was
like,
so shonen.
There are many different types of Claymore.
Yeah.
Like, oh god.
It's like,
You're an offensive type. Or is it offensive that can't regenerate their arms? Offensive can't. Yeah. It's like, you're an offensive type, so you can't have a new arm. But you can attach a different arm to yourself. I was like,
yeah, like, what?
I guess that's a good word for
So you can't, yeah, so I guess you just can't regenerate your own, but you can put on someone else's. Yeah, it's so weird.
Yes, makes sense.
Yeah,
So that led to her meeting the one Claymore who had the quickening sword.
Yeah,
style.
Elena.
So that she met Elena through that.
Dude.
What?
She's rad.
Oh, okay. You like cut out a little for me, so all I heard was dad soon. I was like, what?
The dad, that was her secret. That's what she ran off and thought,
I just, oh my god. I think it's really awesome that she sort of just gave her last arm to Claire. But then it's also like, well, how are you gonna how are you gonna do stuff?
Yeah.
Like, how are you just gonna eat? How are you gonna do
she
anything?
just has a plate and she's just like,
Look, people learn how to do incredible things with their toes.
It's true.
That's true.
If you ever
He's got all the time in the world.
That's true.
I like how Claire's just borrowing it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, they always say borrow. It's like, that's sweet. You know, I'm glad you can already see yourself giving that arm back to Elena.
Yeah.
Right? It's just such a strange thing.
Yeah. There's so many
body parts isn't much, I guess.
Yeah, it's not that important. It's always there's a lot of this manga being, I will see you again soon. Don't die until that happens. And then they meet up and the person dies right after they meet. And you're like, that's why.
Oh, okay.
That worked out.
All right. That's fine.
So many lessons to be learned. Every single battle, every single kind of interaction, there's always something that's being learned, which is cool. I'm glad that, you know, things aren't just kind of happening just for the sake of it. I mean, I guess maybe for some more minor characters, but and sometimes it's just cruel. Sometimes it's like, why did you have to do that? It's like, oh, well, we live in like this pretty dark world right now. It's like, I mean, maybe that's just the way it's supposed to be.
Death.
I wouldn't want to live in that world, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't want to be a Claymore. I don't want to be a Claymore.
I wouldn't.
I have the forehead for it, but I don't want to be one.
Yeah, they got.
Please no.
They got hella 5 head. Yeah.
Hella 5 head. Do the whole thing. And I also have my hair pulled back like they usually do. Guys, I want full Claymore tonight. Full Claymore. So we have Elena, and then I'm trying to remember the order of stuff that we had. We have the group of 4.
After that was the oh fuck, I can't even remember her name. The little one and her boyfriend who kidnapped
yes.
Kidnapped Jean and
she's the one of the Abyss. Yeah, she's one of the creatures of the Abyss. Yeah. That I really enjoy that fight. I really like that fight.
I think that section might be my favorite section.
Yeah. It was really cool. It was really sweet, and it was really interesting hearing her reasoning as to why she was doing all of this in the first place, and then she kind of just wanted them all to join and, you know, combine and kind of fight against this organization, which is totally fair. I mean, they are kind of being treated like crap by them, and treated them like they're not actually important, or putting them on death missions. So I totally appreciate that, and that's really cool. So
I love how quickly after that battle ended and the one lady was like, I'll just tell them that you were dead and ripped to shreds. And then the next chapter, the guy's like, oh yeah, we figured it out. Like, it was so fast. It's like, wow, they did that real quick.
It was really, I thought that was funny too. I was like, well, at least the manga isn't making them seem like idiots. Like,
true.
They're good at their jobs.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, that fight is really cool. Not just, like, because we get to see Claire fight with like the other characters, but Claire's not the main one who wins. Like she's not the main one who beats the Yoma dude. So I enjoyed the fact that like other Claymores were featured more heavily in that fight.
Yeah.
Where Claire kind of took a sideline role. Like even though she was important,
chastised a couple of times. Like you need to settle down.
Yeah. Where she like gets her face slammed into the ground. I'm going, yeah, girl. Calm yourself.
Yeah, really.
She goes a little off the rails sometimes, where she just gets a little too like lets her anger take over. And I think there's times where she's such a stoic like character. She has the face that shows no expression, but she has a lot of emotion and she gets attached to people and things. But there's a lot of times that she gets overconfident in who she is, even though she like tries to hide it at some points. But when she gets overconfident, there's always like consequences to it, which I really like in a main character, like having that happen. I think that's
good. Because then they're just like, if they're too well balanced, they're kind of boring. And they have to be this way. I'm hoping that even as it continues on, she just continues to have these flaws, because that she's always gonna like, I feel like all of the Claymores are always these very flawed characters, and their flaws are kind of what get the best of them in a lot of ways, except for Claire. I feel like you can say that to so many things. You can just say except for Claire.
Yeah.
But I like her cockiness, and I appreciate that, because I can understand that feeling. And I mean, like, while I definitely can't comprehend any of what they're going through, that would be horrifying. Then, you know, I can understand why she thinks she needs to be that way, to have almost this protective wall in front of her, right? So she can feel like she has that power and she can harness it.
Yeah. Claire is bae.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
she is bae.
And she got to help somebody off from the edge, like she was helped.
I'm trying to think who I like the most. Out of the Claymores at this point.
Yeah.
I still do like, I really like Ophelia. I like Galatia or Galatia. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but I like her a lot too. And I liked Flora. I really wanted to get to know Flora more. I was sad we didn't get to.
Yeah, dude, she hella died. I'm pretty sure died, guys.
She looked like she died.
Her death was very fast too. Like it was jarringly.
There were like 4 or 5 deaths, one after another.
Yeah, his claw dug and slashed through very easily. Mustang. Oh no! And that was something I can't remember. What is it that officially kills a Claymore? Is it decapitating them and keeping their bodies far away from each other? Like, what is it? Because Ophelia had her neck broken hardcore, and she was like, I'm back. Creepily. Something out of a horror movie.
I think she even said, like, you know, if you really wanted to kill me, you should have decapitated me, you know?
Yeah.
So that, I'm assuming also if it's like, attack the heart as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure though, because like there's also that point too with like I believe it was Deneve, and she had that stomach wound, and they were saying that, you know, if she continues to use her Yoma, she'll be able to, but it might take over.
Yeah.
And she probably won't make it otherwise.
Right.
But then
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm thinking that I think it needs to be like the vitals if it's going to be like death, right?
And like something that they can't regenerate from.
I was going to say, maybe your point about like decapitating them, but making sure that they're not like pushed back together. Because if they can like reattach an arm, like if the brain isn't dead yet and they were able to like reattach immediately, like they might be okay, but I don't know.
It felt, I was like very unsure. It felt kind of inconsistent. There might be somebody who's watching who can't answer it, because maybe it was answered a while ago. But it was definitely something that I was like, it made it very hard to tell who died and who did not. Like you guys, somebody was dying, and I'd be like, nah, they're fine. And then go, we lost 2 people. And I was like, wait, what? What? You did die? I don't what?
Yeah, it's really hard to tell how much stamina certain characters have because it's like, okay, so how long have we been fighting? It's just like the whole time issue. It's like, how long has this fight been going? How much of their Yoma have they used? How much damage have they taken? It's like so tricky to tell between panels sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's who? Like, there's the one scene where they're all in the big battle against the 3 Omas in the north. They split into the teams. There was times where it was very hard for me to tell who was fighting.
Sorry, I'm way darker now, but there was a weird burning smell, and I just wanted to turn that light off just in case.
You know,
so
I'd rather have you dark than burning. So.
I'm now shrouded in mystery.
You are.
Continue. I'm sorry.
Like the council organization. Yeah, no, like there was a few times when it was difficult for me to tell what team was fighting which Oma, just because they all looked very similar. And when they were naming, they're like, all right, we're going to split into teams. And they said every single person's name while showing a picture of every single one. And I was going, I'm not going to remember this at all. I did not remember it. I did not, like, when they were fighting, I was like, I don't remember your name. I'm glad that somebody else said it or something.
I just look at their hairstyles. While some of them have very similar hairstyles, for the most part, I can be like, oh, that's the one with the ponytail. Oh, that's the one with, like, the waves, right? Like, they may have the same face, but they at least have different hair.
Yeah.
Same face, like, there's some variation in the eyes sometimes. But yeah, overall, which I'm like, man, how many different hairstyles can this mangaka come up with?
I know, right? Because they pretty much all have the same face, so have different hairstyles.
Different hairs. I'm very interested to see how with like the creatures of the abyss, what all does happen with that. Just because we definitely know that that's not over, obviously. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out and where that goes. Because it's like, are they going to... Obviously, we left off with them fighting a really, really strong opponent. And so I'm wondering if they're going to use this to weed out some claymores that they don't want to deal with or anything. If, like, this is where, like, a bunch of them get killed so that new characters can come in eventually.
Or that same kind of a thing, but along the lines of trying to weaken the organization, and maybe the organization gets a bit more desperate and less mysterious and works with the Claymore more.
Yeah, instead of just sending them on missions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting fascinating, guys.
Oh my goodness.
Oh boy. Should we talk about the art?
Sure, yeah.
What are your guys' feelings on the art?
I think women look better than men in the art a lot of times.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Even when we first met Isley, I thought Isley was a girl.
I did too.
Because he was probably the best looking man I've seen in this manga. I think it's just because their eyes are so far apart and their faces are so round. It's really strange, and it better suits kind of a more feminine look than it does a more masculine look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you. All of the men still look very effeminate.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell, but we have mostly female characters, so for the most part it's fine, aside from getting them confused sometimes if they have a slightly similar hairstyle. But I mean, I think overall I don't have a whole lot of complaints about the art. I think it's usually pretty clear to me what's going on in like fights and things.
Yeah, same. Like, there's times where the characters kind of like obviously look like each other, but it's also hard in a manga like this where you have it's so prominent that the characters do look like each other. It's hard, and I think the mangaka does what they can to make them look like dissimilar. What was that? In terms of the action and the drawings during that can get very repetitive too. There's a lot of the same beats within each battle, or the same angles as well. And so I think there's a few times where they do a variation here and there, but there's also a lot of the same walking without getting hit, jumping, hitting the sword into the shoulder. So it's very, and when you have a lot of battles against different opponents, sometimes obviously the characters are going to have consistent styles. But I think the mangaka could have varied it up a little bit with different angles or different perspectives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was that was a gripe that I had with it, but it's not that.
Yeah, you definitely have to like use your imagination in between those panels. One thing I do want to say though, absolutely, I was really, really, really impressed with the design of the Awakened ones.
Yes.
Sometimes I would just like look up close at them just so I could see all those fine lines and details because it looked so good. Like I would love to see an art book with all of those pieces, like full pagers, right? Mm-hmm. I just think that would be so beautiful. And yeah, I feel like I'm happy that there was so much attention put into them because if they weren't, then what would make them stand out? Why would we be almost so excited to see, oh, you know, who is this character going to awaken into, right? Yeah. What will they look like?
Yeah. And it's really fascinating because all the Claymores look so similar, but they're awakened so different from each other. Like everything is so vastly different, which makes it really interesting that that's when they are different from each other, is when they've awakened. That's when they are different. And so that puts an emphasis on that too. But I agree. The awakened beings are definitely my favorite designs. And the Yoma too, especially the last Yoma that we got. I'm excited to see the variation in them and how that, like, if you put the Yoma versus the awakened Claymore, how that's gonna look and like how different they look from each other too.
Yeah,
and the style that's gonna happen. So, somebody that I wanted to bring up was the super muscle lady. I can't remember her name, but what did you guys think about her?
I'm a sucker for muscle lady, so I was like, yes, stick around forever, and then
bench me.
Yeah,
bench me. Yeah.
I didn't like her at first because I don't really like those characters that are too hot-headed because I know if I was around a character like that, I would be very annoyed and I just want them to shut up. But then she had like that little moment with Denise, I think it was, and that kind of showed a little bit more of her insecurities about her and helped you get to know her better. Yeah. So I thought that was actually really cool. I mean, everybody has it. They're just hiding it in different ways or they're experiencing their insecurities in different ways, right?
Yeah.
And how everybody's got a really sad story from before they became a Claymore. So theirs were really sad because Denise was talking about Helen too. I think it was Helen. She was bringing up their backstory and how they got to know each other. And I really liked how that was brought up. It felt very subtle and organic. Generic.
Like generic isn't a positive word.
Guys, it was so generic. It was awesome.
So generic. I liked it.
I really liked how organic it felt how she brought it up and how it was a very comforting way too. So I enjoyed that nice little aside because they didn't need to put that in there, but it definitely helped us care about both of those characters a lot more too. So, you guys have anything else you would like to touch on? We're coming up on about 45 minutes here, so we can wrap up and give our final thoughts and ratings. If anybody has nothing else.
I wish Jean was still alive.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I thought it was really sweet that she would stand by Claire after she saved her life, you know?
Dude, when she was like, I owe you my life. I'll always be anything that you want. My life is yours. And I was like, oh shit. She's gonna be Claire's companion now.
Yeah. I was like, upgrade. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Reiki.
Bye. He's just gone.
See you later. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like she's a very strong character who had a lot of potential that we didn't totally get to explore, and I feel like she wasn't really around for that long.
Yeah.
Like, in the grand scheme of things, she wasn't there for very long, and I don't know, I just wanted to see more.
Do you guys think she's for sure dead? Or is she gonna come back?
Maybe
I
not.
hope not.
I hope she's not dead. I want her to awaken that guy's ass so hard.
Oh, yeah.
To awaken. So cool. I want one of the awakened Claymores that's still in like the right mind to take him on, and that's his death. That would be so cool.
That would be so cool, for sure.
That would be awesome. That is my prediction and hope for the next one. But yeah, any other thoughts? Or should we do some ratings?
We can do some ratings.
Do some ratings?
I think so, yeah. I think we covered a lot of the main stuff that happened. So.
Yeah, I think we did I think we hit every big point, for sure. I think I'm going to give it probably an 8 out of 10. Because this section especially is just such stellar storytelling. It's a 4-letter word. So I think it's just very well done. The setup for what we're going to be getting in the future has been very good. And there's been some very fascinating arcs that we've had, both with Claire and with some other characters. And so it's nice to see it get into the meat of the story and having us explore different parts of the society and part of what the Claymore really means. And there was also some very interesting characters that got brought up that I just love, like Ophelia, Mira, all of those. My only gripe is how repetitive the action can get, because I think I felt that way during the first section as well. And so that makes me hope that there's some variation in it, but
the mangaka will improve. And
yeah, in terms of how they pace it and what perspectives and POVs and things that they use. But overall, it's just such a cool story with some very interesting characters, including the protagonist. The protagonist has some of that shonen plot armor, but we're getting more and more instances of where she loses herself and she gets brought down a peg or two, which is very cool to see. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Art is very, very pretty, especially the awakened beings, and it's just such an interesting story, and I highly recommend people go and check it out.
It's basically the same for me. I would give it an 8 out of 10 as well. I really liked all of the different little arcs that we had in this reading, enough so that I was fine with reading it a couple of times. And yeah, I would absolutely recommend it. I don't think that I need to repeat everything that Erin said, but Erin said it all great. So there you go.
Yeah, I think I have to agree here too on this 8 out of 10 train, just because like there are still those little parts that don't make it perfect or don't make it like just totally phenomenal, but still make it really intriguing and really interesting and make you want to like really get into this world. And I mean, I'm left wondering like what's going to happen next. That's a good sign, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, I couldn't agree more with the both of you in all respects. So I definitely recommend this series a lot, and I don't even care that it's so long. Like I just want to read more.
Yeah.
You know, it's not intimidating to me because it's like there's so much that happens. We get to enjoy that much more out of it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
Like I'm very interested to see where the story goes, especially now that we have Illis or whatever his name is getting involved in the other creatures of the abyss. So I feel like it's gonna get wild. It's gonna get wild.
Okay, right.
Crazy. But that wraps up our discussion of Claymore, volume 6 through 10, chapters 28 through 57. Now I am going to read the description for the manga that we are reading next week. And everybody in chat gets to guess what it is. There's gonna be plenty of blanks. So good luck, y'all. On the outskirts of Tokyo stands Blank Academy, a storied blank boarding school for elite blank full of potential and good breeding. But as the new school year rolls around, one tradition is going out the window. For the first time in the school's long history, blanks are allowed to enroll. But on the first day of school, only blanks make the cut. I totally did not need to blank one of those words, but I just like was on a roll.
Love it.
Kiyoshi, one of the lucky few, is thrilled by this discovery. His heart leaping with joy at the thought of being surrounded by all these blanks day in and day out. But little does he know of the shocking fate that awaits him. Blank.
Blank, 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 blank.
Blank, blank, blank.
Hysteria.
Prison school! Yes.
Fuck, I can't wait to read more Prison School. I'm so excited. For some reason, it's been coming up a lot lately, and every time I'm like, it's like this show that makes you feel really gross, and you can't stop watching it or reading it.
It feels so gross.
It doesn't make anybody ever want to read or watch it the way that you have to describe it. Like, I feel like a terrible voyeur, and every single second I want to pause it because it's awful.
It's so...
And I can't stop.
Can't stop,
Dude,
won't
I'm so
stop.
excited.
So that is what we are discussing next week. We are going to be reading volumes 5 through 8, chapters 39 through 78. Almost 40 volumes of Prison School, or chapters. Oh my god, 40 volumes? No. No.
Brutal.
So
I'm
much
so
pervert.
sorry.
Oh my god, I might die. That would be so much Prison School. Alright, let's go around and shout out our stuff. Super quick, I am Erin of HappiLeeErin. I have a YouTube channel where all of the previous MangaPods are hosted. Other than MangaPod has been pretty inactive because I'm focusing on a book, so all of my writing goes into that. But if you do want to check out any of my previous stuff, I have done a lot of anime first impressions, anime reviews, top 11-ish anime moments, stuff like that, as well as mental health awareness videos. So if you want to go and check that out, I would love you for looking at that. And I am more active on my other social media, which is HappiLeeErin all across the everything, mostly Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat, where all three of those I kind of talk about my baby and Voltron. That's about it. It's my life.
Hi guys, I'm Dodger. You might be watching this on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/dexbonus. I'm also on YouTube at youtube.com/pressheart2continue, which I swear is not dead. And yeah, I don't know. Don't follow me on social media. It's a nightmare. And that's it.
It's the best. The best. What are you talking about? Get out.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 social media, Dodger.
Thanks guys. Be right back. I'm gonna go ruin it.
And I'm ErikaSzabo. I have a YouTube channel under the same name where I like to talk about JRPGs, hidden gems. I do some mental health awareness as well, and unboxings and things like that. I'm on a little break right now, so you'll find most of me on social media, especially Twitter and Instagram, both at ErikaSzabo as well. And when I'm not doing that, I'm a guest on These Warriors. It's a tabletop RPG podcast. And yeah, right now I'm just doing like a lot of marketing and community management work for different companies. So
Awesome.
good stuff.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yay! Finally!
Thank you so much for having me. Yay,
Of
yay,
course,
yay.
I'm so happy.
Another one. More.
Yes, more.
More. Every birthday pod from now on. Claymore.
More hot ladies with swords.
More hot ladies with swords.
Please.
No, we appreciate it so much that you're able to come on and talk Claymore with us. You'll definitely have to come on when we talk about it again. And thank you all. And chat on both Twitch and YouTube. And if you're watching this on the VOD, thank you so much as well. We will be here same time except for a different date. We'll be back on our usual date next week on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. And we're going to be discussing Prison School, chapters 39 through 78. If you would like more MangaPod, you can go to our subreddit, reddit.com/r/MangaPod. We have a schedule so you can see what is coming up in the next few weeks through the end of December. And then we also have a recommendation thread. If there's a manga that you would like us to check out, go ahead and see if it's posted on the thread. If it's not, go ahead and post it yourself and we'll see if we can work it into the schedule. Other than that, we hope you guys have a great day. We will see you next week. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. My mouse isn't working. Hold on.
What?
Hold on. Okay.
Yeah.
Da 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 da.